The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome to Modernization, a webinar for the IBM professional who is looking beyond the green screen. This presentation is a joint Utilities 400 and Ask Bob production. Utilities 400 are a premier IBM ISV that specialize in developing robust integration and intelligent solutions. Ask Bob, or Ask Best of Breed for IBM Power I, is a newly formed group of best of breed IBM business partners, consultants, and ISVs providing advice of best practice through knowledge, experience, and a range of best-in-class solutions and services. My name is Andrew Nicholson, and I'll be your host for today's event. I'm joined by industry stalwart and IBM expert Steve Close, who will, thankfully, be guiding us through all the techie stuff. Welcome to the webinar, Steve.
Thanks, Andy. Hello, everybody.
Today we'll be covering the many aspects of modernization for the IBM. In the next 30 minutes we'll discuss the pressures to change, the options available, plus provide some real-time demonstrations to help with your decision-making process for modernizing your IBM enterprise. Before we start, a bit of housekeeping. For your questions, please tweet us at IAskBob or at Utilities400 and use the Modernize and IBM hashtag. Now, we may not be able to get to these until after the webinar, so please take note. To join the live discussions, use the Management Console. You should find this somewhere on the right-hand side of your screen. It's no good me pointing at the monitor, I notice, but within this, you can find the Questions tab. Please feel free to open this up and ask a question. We'll have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Finally, if you've missed something, let me go back into the presentation, or wanted to walk through the demonstration again, well, don't worry, we're recording this event and you'll receive a link to the recording within the next 48 hours. Let me just get my mouse back. Okie dokie, there we go. Thankfully, that's it for housekeeping, and hopefully that's it for the glitches too. So pour yourself a coffee, pull up a chair and grab the popcorn as we're about to begin. Now, let's make no bones about it. We're here today as there's a growing call to action within the IBM enterprise. While we remain the way we complete and compete in the business world around us, well, it's all changing, and dramatically. Most businesses agree that to move forward, a strategy that aligns current and emerging technologies should be adopted. Businesses running on I need to build richer and more robust web applications, develop new applications that adhere to corporate, mobile, or bring-your-own-device technologies, and improve their integration and interfaces with their customers, partners, suppliers, and, ever more prominent today, their consumers. These include their employees, directors, and management. Why? The bottom line is that we can reduce long-term costs and improve agility. Much of the most important business information, namely the data, the business processes in your business, well, they're inextricably linked with your IBM. This information, your underlying data cornerstone, is built up through the company's history. Should we not be able to successfully marry this with more present ways of accessing and using the information, this fundamental disconnect could lead to stagnant growth and ultimate decline. So the pressure for change invariably comes from all quarters, so be prepared. If you've not heard these already, these are the type of objections that you'll receive. First, perhaps from your CEO or managing director. Last weekend, he was out on the golf course on the 18th tee, and his golfing partner and fellow CEO pipes up about this new whizzy ERP they've just implemented. The following Monday, there's a knock at the door and a familiar, "These green screens are old hat and we need something new." And the conversation starts. Now, his CEO golfing partner probably failed to mention the loss of their competitive advantage, the months and perhaps years it took to get the system live, or the hundreds of thousands of pounds it cost. But the seeds are sown, and the experience you've gained over many years may soon be redundant should you not act. Next, the pressure builds from your partners, stakeholders, and of course, your customers. These days, customers and partners demand closer integration with the people they do business with. Suppliers perhaps require better visibility via web portals, and your stakeholders are becoming more like consumers too, with bring your own device and mobilization becoming ever more prevalent. They demand more precise access to information with pertinent analytics through a tailored and feature-rich interface over a plethora of devices. You see, old programs, although proven and reliable, are erroneously considered old because of their user interface. Many RPG programmers still write new applications the same way they did 30 years ago. An easy but sophisticated method to web-face or re-engineer these interfaces is required to bring the enterprise into the 21st century. Now, a recent study by Aberdeen Group agreed and suggested that as the market recedes, server and companies look to shed costs, many look inwardly in order to find the areas for improvement. Aberdeen's research showed that top business pressures forcing companies in the direction of modernization are largely internal. The top two pressures listed have to do with agility, the ability to react quickly and make good use of the technologies available in order to react to opportunities before the window closes. Similarly, organizations are looking to become more internally agile as well. In other words, tighten up the product development process, being smarter about feature management, and vastly improving development times. Now, interestingly, in response to these pressures, the data shows that best-in-class companies are adopting strategies that involve increasing the agility of the development process, so the changes during both the development stage and the operational stage can be applied as swiftly as possible. The data shows that 59% of all respondents are taking steps to extend agility, involving more modern user interfaces, preferably via the web browser for delivery. So given that a requirement to change is a necessity, what options are there for the aspiring enterprise running on IBM I? Let's take a look at the options quadrant. Looking from top to bottom, a total rewrite in most cases will be the most costly option as it requires the most code to be written. In addition, this option carries the most risk because we require the recreation of embedded or undocumented functionality. In terms of return on investment, this option has the least value as it takes the most development and testing time. Replace is a close second in terms of cost and ROI. If you've been seduced by one of the newer whistles and bells ERP, then how would you adopt it? To implement vanilla would possibly mean you're losing the bespoke or unique applications that provided you with a competitive advantage in the first place. And you're actually paying more for the privilege. As such, and because you're moving into the unknown, that may require new skill sets that the business doesn't even have yet, this option comes at the second riskiest. Re-engineering is an interesting option, and we'll explore this a little later in a follow-up webinar, as we have a solution for this. This option provides low cost but high return on investment while simultaneously giving good agility. Now, careful consideration and good project management skills would be called for should this path be taken, but it could potentially be a winner. Modernize is the least costly and offers the lowest risk, as we're using proven code without any alteration. To take advantage of modernization, we're web-facing the applications, but rather than simply screen scraping the green screen sessions, we can create GUIs in browser with added functionality such as graphing results, merging dual 5250 screens, adding web widgets, and downloading to Excel. So while not quite as agile as perhaps as the other methods, it offers the best return on investment and is the simplest and quickest to deploy. Now, while each carries its own inherent advantages and disadvantages, the research shows that in many cases, modernization and certainly re-engineering minimizes the costs and risks while maximizing the ROI and agility. As we now understand a little bit more about the pressures for and the options to modernize, we're going to take you through the most popular method, modernization. Re-engineering, you'll remember, we're going to tackle this in a later webinar, but we'll give you an insight in what we can do here before the close of this session. So let me pass you over to Steve Close now, after my good old waffling, who will be taking you through some live demonstrations on what you should expect from a web refacing application. These are the type of things you should be looking for. Let me pass you over, Steve. Let me make you the presenter.
Thanks, Andy.
You should have now control of the session.
I have indeed. You see my screen yet? It's coming. Okay, one of the great strengths of Modern I is the ability to use the product more or less out of the box and get a modernized application with very little or no, in fact, setup time. What I'm showing you here now is the OS 400 main menu run not quite out of the box, because I've set some parameters which I'm going to walk you through in a second. So this is the normal green screen menu. The menu options have all been converted to icons. We've got buttons that the colour changes when you put your mouse over, and will then change again when you depress it to make it like you press the button. And all the function keys from the bottom of the screen have been converted into buttons, again, down the left-hand side. I'll quickly show you how that is achieved. This is the first thing you'll do once you put Modern I onto your box. Basically, you go into the option here that says Modernization Options. Now, if I just walk you through what these do, go to the defaults, it's the ones I've set up that I use. I'm going to go back. The first option that Modern I expects you to take, and I can't really remember you won't, is to convert your function keys to buttons. So what this will do, wherever you've got F keys anywhere on the screen, it will convert them to buttons down the side. I mean, on my screen, if you look at the actual underlying green screen, it'll say F3 equals exit, F7 equals ignore constants, all that type of stuff. So it means instead of having to press the function key, although you can still do that if you want to do so, you just now click the buttons down the side to go back to where you want to go through the navigation buttons. Okay, once I've told it I want to convert the function keys to buttons, I can also influence the sequence that the buttons will appear down the side. If I put a 1 into the next box there, that means just display them in the order they're on the screen. Okay, so as the programmer wrote them, when he put them onto the display file, into the panel, that's how they will display. If I put 2, it will sort them into numeric sequence, which more often that will be exactly the same, but sometimes you get function keys out of sequence in applications. And number 3 will sort them into alpha sequence, which can be useful if you've got a lot of function keys on the screen, because you know your buttons will always be in alphabetical sequence. Okay, if I'm converting my function keys to buttons, shall I take the F key ID, the function key identifier, out of the text? What that means is, where it says F3 equals, and the F3 equals is how I recognized it as a button, I'm going to take the F3 equals out, so it just leaves it as exit. If I hadn't set that option, these buttons would say F3 equals exit, F12 equals cancel. Now what we're trying to do here, I think, is make it a modern application. The user doesn't even need to know which platform it's running underneath, so you're trying to get away from it looking like an I-series green screen completely, so I think you should definitely take those off. You could, if you want to, also leave the F key text on the screen, so it would display it on the screen wherever it was. But I don't want to do that. The only advantage I can ever think of for doing that is because the F keys do still work. I mean, if I press F12 now, you can't see me doing it, but that has done the cancel the same as it would if I click the button down the left-hand side. It's just to illustrate that the F keys do work still, even when you've converted them to buttons. Okay, one of the great strengths of Modern I, it will recognize when you've got a list of information on the screen. Now, this is what as programming techies call a subfile. Okay, so perhaps you'll have something like your customer name and address at the top of the screen, and then have some information like a rolling list of all his outstanding orders or his invoices down the bottom. That is a subfile. Modern I will automatically recognize the subfile and change the display accordingly. By default, the templates we ship, it will be displayed in an Excel type grid. So it looks more modern. And the big advantage of having things converted to subfiles is that whenever a subfile appears on the screen, you can, at the click of a button, download the data that is on the screen and any other data, if you page right down to the end of the list, into an Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to show you that very quickly in the next option that I go into. But we believe that's one of the most powerful features of the product. As well as detecting subfiles, the product can automatically detect windows. Okay, now when it gets a window, it converts it into a true window type Windows type window. So it's not just a dotted line or rows of dots or reversed image around your window to give the appearance of being a window. It would actually be a true window. Now, it will detect windows that are coded in the application as a window, or it will also detect them if they're the old-fashioned type windows where the programmer just put reversed image blanks around as a border to make it look like a window. If I'm detecting a subfile, shall the product automatically work out from the screen that's displayed what the column headings for the subfile are? Yes, I'm going to do that. If I put a 2 there, it will remove them from the screen as well. Again, you'll see an example of this in a second. Or, again, whenever you've got a subfile on the screen, normally you'll have some options at the top, which tell you what you can do against any particular line in a subfile, like 2 equals change, 5 equals display, all that type of stuff. So, if you set this option, Modern I will scan the screen and look for any of these options, and it will convert them into drill down options. So again, makes you be able to use your mouse to navigate through the application rather than use the keyboard. And again, I won't send them to detect it as soon as they detect it and remove it from the screen. So I won't see the options at the top of the screen at all. I will just see them as drop-down boxes next to the subfile. And again, I can sort them into whatever sequence I want to do so. The last thing I can do very easily across the whole application is I can make menu items clickable. Okay. What that means is the product will automatically decide when a menu is displayed, and it will make the menu options clickable. So I'll show you that again in a second. You'll see what I mean. If I just come out of that, go back to my main screen. If I just get a command line, and then if I do a workout job, what I'm going to try and do here is get to a screen that we'll all be familiar with. I expect everybody's ever worked on an iSeries has probably seen this screen at some point in time. And if you visualize the underlying green screen, it's got options across the top here, it's got functions keys down the bottom here, and it's got a list of information in the middle. So this is where you see it's automatically detected this as a subfile, and it's put them into a grid type layout. It's automatically recognized the column headings from above the screen and put those into the column headings from the screen layout. If I click more keys, that will change the function keys down at the bottom, so that will then make this list of keys change because the screen is passed on the fly. More keys again will take me to another one. And if I do more keys again, I'll go back to where I am at the beginning. The options across the top have been converted into drill down options. If I go to this job here, I get a drop down window. So I want to work with that particular job. This is actually my job that I'm running at the moment. I get the work with job screen. And if I want to look at something like the call stack for the job, again, because that's a subfile, it's converted the data into a subfile kind of display. It just looks a bit more modern, a bit nicer. If I click more options here, again, you'll see it's just more the same. The drill down option now will have changed because the options on the inline screen have changed. You see, I've only got 5 or 6 options there, whereas before I had quite a few more options again. Change again. Yes, it's gone back to the original options there. Now I said originally that whenever you've got a subfile displayed, you can convert it to Excel, to download the data into Excel. I can do that on this screen because it's recognized as a subfile. What I've got on my template, basically a template is the look and feel of a web page. So every single green screen that you're running on the Modern, you can configure a different template for if you wish to do so. And on my template, I've got an Excel button up here. So when I said I want to download it to Excel, the first thing I have to decide, the only thing I need to decide is really, just so, do I want all the records on the page, or do I want all the records in my spreadsheet if I was to page down to get to the end of the list? Normally you would select all the records. So let's say it's downloaded 135 records, 135 jobs on our system at the moment, and I just open my spreadsheet. And you see I've got my workout job information in a spreadsheet. Obviously it doesn't have to be workout job, it will be whatever is in your application. The example I gave you could be a list of all the outstanding invoices, all the orders for a customer, however you want it to be. You can incidentally, when you're downloading a spreadsheet using Modern, program it to use a macro. So before the spreadsheet opens, it will run a macro to do things like put logos in, do subtotals, highlight anything you want to highlight to alert people to a particular situation. Very, very powerful. Wherever you are, you can always download your data to a spreadsheet. Another thing you can do very easily with Modern, and this is going slightly out of the box, and I have to do a little bit of work to this, is you can extend your subfile either horizontally this way or vertically that way. Horizontally that way means because there are different views, if you like, of this data with a workout job, you can press a function key, get some more thread information, another function, you get some more information. You can write a little script in the background that will do that for you. So whenever the work active job screen is displayed, you get all the windows displayed at once. Okay. Or you can extend it vertically this way, which is what I'm going to show you now. Instead of displaying 10 rows, I'll press the right key. Instead of displaying 10 rows, I might want the program to display more. Okay. So what you can do to modify the appearance and the functionality of your underlying applications is you can use the technique we use in Modern called recognize screens. So what you do is tell the Modern program how to recognize a particular screen, and I told it in this case, whenever it says work act job at the top of the screen, work with active jobs, I want to perform a particular set of functions. You see down the right hand side here, it says the status of this one is actually suspended at the moment. That means it's not in use. I wanted to do that just so I could show you the standard work act job screen. If I go here and reactivate it, so now it's active, if I run, oh sorry, I'll show you exactly what I've done. Behind each screen you can put what we call a set of overrides. And these overrides give you the functionality to perform all the different added benefits and functions that you can get within Route 1, within Modernization, sorry. And Andy's going to show you a slide of all those when we finish. And all I've done here is I said I want to extend the subfile rows to 100. So irrespective of what the green screen application displays, I'm saying when I display it on the browser, I want to display 100 rows. So if I just go back to my command line again now, and I type work active job, or I just retrieve it from here, press enter. See what I've got now is I've got a display, it's actually displaying 100 rows from the work act job. Now that's very, very powerful because again, you can extend your subfiles to give them more of a webby appearance, so again, nobody would know there's a green screen under that. What the product's done is it's page down, page down, page down until it's got 100 rows in its interface. Okay. I'm going to show you a few more functions very quickly now about how you can tailor the way your applications work, just some of the more popular ones. One of the ones that's proving very popular is the ability to combine screens into one. So if you've got a particular task in your system where perhaps you just have to go through 3 or 4 different screens to get where he wants to be, you can get Modernization to combine all those into one panel. I'll just quickly show you what I mean. If I add my library into the library list, because these are just demonstration programs that I'm going to show you, and I run a program called Combine. What this application has got, it's got 3 screens to a particular task. Okay, screen 1, see when I click update, it goes on to screen 2, and update goes on to screen 3. Okay, so you see there's actually there's 4 mouse clicks there to achieve the particular transaction task I want to do. Again, if I go back into Modernization, and I recognize these screens using the same technique as before, all I want to do is just reactivate these 3 screens, the 3 screens that make up that application. So now they'll perform how I've overridden them to perform. Let's come out of that again. Get back to my main menu. If I do call combine again, what you see now, instead of getting 3 screens to go through my application, it's taken those 3 panels and merged them all into one. So I can enter all the data into all the 3 screens just in one go and press enter. So I've reduced my mouse clicks from 4 to 1. That item number is actually on the second screen. Just to prove the logic still works, I can get a window up there and it can, prompt on and I'll put it back into there. And then when I press update, it will go away and update the files by generating all the keystrokes in the background that it would need to do to go through your own existing applications. Another very popular use of Modernization is to produce your data in a more graphical format using graphs and charts. We just show you another methodology that I mean here. If I've got a pretend sales analysis program here, it's in my sales by month for the last couple of years, it's saying which region you want to look at. So I type NW for Northwest. What I've got here is a little grid, this year and last year's comparison. My sales in thousands of pounds are split into the months across the screen there. Okay. Again, a little Blue Peter moment, go back and activate my recognized screen for my sales analysis, which is sales by region, this one. So it's suspended at the moment, I just reactivate it. So now when I go back to it, I call in demo sales again. So enter Northwest. And now instead of getting my data grid, I get a graphical representation, in this case in the bar chart. I can have horizontal bar charts, I can have pie charts, I can have all sorts of charts in there, present the data however you want to do. As long as you've got an underlying green screen, that is graphable. Okay. As I move the mouse over the chart, it will display the values. And if I want to, I can actually click that and it'll run a script behind and take me to another screen if I wish to do so. And that methodology is provided by what we call a script within the product. I'll just quickly show you what I mean. You can, again, tailor the way your applications work. On any particular screen, you can run a script. I go into this option here that says Work with Scripts. If you remember, from my main menu, what I did is I said call demo sales, and then I went to another screen, but it's positioned to here, the one my script I want to go to. I'm positioned to key right region. What you can do to navigate between screens automatically without the user having to enter keystrokes is create a script. And this script here basically is mimicking what I did on the green screen. So I'm saying set the screen at line 20, row 20, column 7 to say add libly sclib, and then press enter. And then in the same location do call demo sales and press enter. And then when the product gets into my sales analysis screen, I can actually enter the Northwest region as well in there and press enter. And then what you can do is add these scripts onto a particular menu. So in this case, what I've done, those of you who are really familiar with the OS4 main menu might have noticed it at the beginning when we first signed on. There was an extra button at the bottom of the screen here. Because what I could do is I can say add any button onto any screen to perform a particular task. So when I click sales by region now, what I was going to do is run that script. So it's gone through the method of typing in, going through a couple of screens, and then getting to where I want to go. So that can be very, very powerful as well. So from any particular menu you're on, rather than the user have to go through 7 or 8 screens and then perhaps go into a program and enter a parameter, you can key all that into a particular script and put it onto a menu. Okay, last thing I'm going to show you, because I'm running out of time, is a couple of functions all in one. You can get Modernization to add extra validation onto a particular screen if you want to do so. And you can also save data from one screen and then write it back to any other screen that you ever want to do so. So to show you the validation bit, what I've got here is some checks. These are the kind of checks you can do within Modernization to add to your application. So that invoice number there has got to be between 1020 and 1070. If I change it to 1100, because I've not got my extra validation checks running, that's just working fine. But if I now go into Modernization, again, reactivate a couple of screens here, test validation. So I reactivate that and reactivate my test write fields one. That's the one that's going to copy data from one screen to the next. And if I call my program again, called test file. See, now if I put an invalid invoice number in there and press enter, it's going to get rejected before it's even gone into your application, so you can't quite see the message there. My template is not very good. But it says invoice number was between 1020 and 1070. Sorry about that, the resolution of my screen. But you get the picture. And if I just put the number back so it passes the check, I'm going to have to go onto the X screen. And what I've done here, this screen, before it was all blank, if you remember rightly, I've told it on the first screen to remember invoice number, store it as a variable called invoice number, remember the print flag, and store it as a value called print flag, and then just paint that onto the following screen. And I've also just put a constant of XXX in there. So it's very, very powerful. You have extra validation into your applications, and also store fields anywhere you want to and key them in further down the line. And that's all I'm going to show you the limited time I've got, because I notice we've got 10 seconds left of this webinar. So hand you back to Andy, whose first slide will show you more about the functions that are available within Modern.
Thank you, Steve. So what we saw there was a quick, robust, but secure way of modernizing your green screen applications. Now we went through the features in quite a whiz, but what was demonstrated was far more than traditional screen scraping application. We call this web-facing modernization. And this is what you should be looking for should you be choosing such a solution. And Modern.i has many advantages. In the table, we compare features of Modern.i against recognized industry standard screen scraping programs. Let's pick out some highlights. I mean, one of the powerful features that IBM I professionals enjoy is the intelligence of the solution, the sheer power to automatically convert and create buttons, drill downs, graphs and graphics, makes the modernization process as quick as a Power 7 processes transactions. It's reliable too, with a full knowledge base of display files being stored to ever improve accuracy and interpretation that provides you with the confidence to introduce new applications or sessions to the enterprise. In addition, should your enterprise employ Active Directory across the business applications, Modern.i is compatible with this too. One of the great benefits of the system is its ability to create the screens in your own enterprise image. Using the Design Studio, we can create a corporate template, use one of the supplied templates, or indeed start from scratch and drag and drop. We can modernize your applications for mobile applications, the iPhone or iPad and the like. This ability to easily combine up to 4 consecutive screens is another powerful feature, as is the ability to mix and choose your applications and analytics accordingly. But more on this in our re-engineering webinar. An invitation to this webinar will be sent to you in due course as it becomes available. And if combining 4 consecutive screens isn't enough for you, Modernization can split the screen into 8 different panels. You then have the ability to position these at will on the web page using the Design Studio. Find the information you need, you can download it to Excel at a press of a button. In addition, access to downloads can be restricted depending upon login with a full audit trail of transactions being recorded. And once we've downloaded a spreadsheet, we can configure the spreadsheet to open with pivot tables, graphs, charts through the post-processing commands. Finally, we can use the Design Studio to create templates from scratch or amend templates. But how do we go about this? Well, very simply speaking, the Design Studio provides us with the facility to create stunning portals, GUIs or dashboards from pre-supplied templates, your own corporate image, or from a blank canvas. It's entirely your choice. You can select a resolution or device to design for and add your own custom images, web widgets, graphs, inquiries, buttons. And speaking of buttons, we have complete control over the AS400 by creating custom buttons that will pass parameters, run RPG programs, commit, update records, process a 5250 function key, export to Excel. What I'm trying to get across here is pretty much anything that you want. Should you wish more detailed view of the Design Studio, please let us know and we'll arrange a separate demonstration or trial. Indeed, you can view more video on the Design Studio on our YouTube page, plus we're also going to be holding the application development and re-engineering webinar next month, which will use Design Studio to great extent for these purposes. So please keep a lookout for this within our social media and press release. And speaking of our YouTube channel, please do take time to visit the URL that you see on your screen now. There you'll find the on-demand webinars from previously broadcast events. First, we have our integration webinar that we went through the ins and outs of integrating formats such as XML, XLS, SQL, and CSV, and more with your IBM I with security, validation, and speed. And you'll remember we spoke about re-engineering earlier. We introduced some of these concepts within our Intelligent Business webinar. Not only will you learn the Show Me Plus application development elements, but you'll also enjoy an insight into real-time IBM I business intelligence using our own advanced TurboCube OLAP technology. It's really exciting stuff. Don't take my word for it, view it. And should you be interested in progressing your modernization intelligence, both in terms of capability and agility, do please check out that on-demand webinar. So we've come to the end of a webinar, and I'm just going to go into the Q&A session, and I have one here, if I can read the question properly. Oh dear, what have I done? Okay. This one asks, could you please let me know what are the underlying language scripting technologies that are used to achieve this? Is it simple HTML, CSS, and Java scripting?
It's none of those. Basically, what we do is we have an engine on the I-series that is intercepting the 5250 data stream and then merging that with obviously any functional changes that you've made. And then it uses low-level sockets to talk to a .NET application which is running on a Wintel server. Okay, the Wintel server application will then paint the web page. So the data is going through very quickly, backwards and forwards through a low-level socket interface, and we use it .NET. So you don't need to use Java, HTML, style sheets, or anything. It's all done within the product. The minimum OS level, somebody else has asked now, is 5.1.
Terrific. Thank you, Steve. One more question, as I know we're running slightly over, 5 minutes over, but please keep your questions coming in to both myself and Steve using the email addresses on the screen. This one's about graphics and buttons. He said, can you use any image that I have available within the enterprise? Well, the short answer to that is yes. So if you have your own icons that you want to use, JPEGs, PNGs, whatever you want to use as your own buttons, if you have your own color schemes for your charts, if you have your own particular preference on fonts, multiple fonts, all the colors of the rainbow, anything can be added using the Design Studio for this. And indeed, the demo that you saw earlier was pretty much mimicking the size of 5250 session. There are no restrictions in size within the Design Studio. You can create that screen to be as wide or as small or as long or as tall as you so wish, making it ideal to design purposeful templates for Samsung S4 phone, which Steve recently got. So it's,
Wonderful phone.
Yeah, so it's extremely impressive, extremely powerful stuff. One question on pricing and number of users per processing. We price this by P-level, and pricing is available on application, so please do send us an email and we'll send you a flashback of the ballpark figures per processor level. But I can tell you it's not going to cost you the world. That much I can assure you. Thank you very, very much for your time and joining us today. And on behalf of Steve,
Thank you very much. Goodbye, everybody.
and myself, thank you very much and goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy a very good day.